Here in California, we have a lot of fires, and that brings smoke. I spent all last year researching filters for the house, and $400 to $2,000 seems to be what I actually needed to spend in order to get what I want. And I never actually could settle on one. Then, while replacing my house filter, more frequently than recommended due to the same fires, I thought these 20-inch filters cost about 15 bucks. If only I could put this in my living room. Flashback to my childhood where we had those big box fans in the place of air conditioning, and I'm 90% sure some of those were older than me at the time. They seem to run forever. So would this work? Would this work? A 20-second Google search later, apparently yes, and millions of other people already thought of that. So they've also made a bunch of videos. Is this a case of Cryptomnesia, which Webster's defines, I don't credit Merriam, they know why. Webster's defines Cryptomnesia as the appearance in consciousness of memory images which are not recognized as such, but which appear to be original creations. So did I think of this on my own, or did I see it somewhere and then later thought I thought of it on my own? How would I know? I would literally be the last person to be able to answer that question. But I'm making this video because many of my friends and family, they still don't know about it, and I want to show how easy it is to set up and how easy it is to replace, which is what we're doing here today. Materials: 20-inch box fan, should cost around 20 bucks. Tape, $4. I like this clear tape because it's easy to seal the fan. Plus, you can see what you're doing, it's clear, and if you make a mistake, this one's actually not too bad. Here we go. If you make a mistake, you can kind of go over it multiple times and make sure that you got everything. 1-inch thick, 20-inch square filter. Check the MERV rating. For smoke, you need 13 or higher. $10 to $15 depending on how many you buy. I'll put links to everything in the description if that's helpful. I did think, should I do a 2-inch filter, which doesn't really provide any additional filtration, but you have to replace it less. And my worry at the time, although now I'm probably not as worried, was that it would actually have the potential to create too much drag on the fan and might stress out the motor. So I'm also going to cut in, well, I guess right here in the video, I'm going to cut in a picture of a 2-inch filter square fan that I made. I did the 2-inch in a square box configuration, essentially to provide more air flow or less drag on the motor. I don't know why I'm describing it with my hands. There's literally going to be a photo. So I'll just be silent while that photo is spliced in here in editing. Let's get started. So first up, removing the old fan. You can use a knife, some kind of blade. Do be careful. You don't want to cut the cord. But, I mean, it's a square, so the process is relatively intuitive. Okay, and just a little bit more. I probably, this was my first one that I put together, and I probably went a little crazy on the tape. So, there we go. Yeah, another shot of how dirty that is. Okay, let's keep going. So see, these are some of the holes, and I'll show a close-up of this, but these are some of the holes on the bottom that let air in, and you want to just make sure those are kind of taped over. And I'm actually going to cut away a little bit of this corner tape, just because this is the trickiest. Ooh. The main reason I'm cutting away these corners is really just so I can see what I'm doing with the new filter that I put on, because the corners are kind of the trickiest part. So now put it in. Which way? Look at that. It tells you which way. If you live indoors, then you should be replacing these. They might look a little different. They might have a little different. They might be in the wall. They might be in the garage. They might be in your ceiling. But you should be replacing these every 3 months. This is actually relatively straightforward when you do it. So I just want to show you some kind of tips and tricks of things. the corners are tricky, but also the feet. Make sure the fan does not go below the feet. In this case, the cord actually comes out of the bottom. They're all a little different, so you'll have to kind of figure that out. So I set the filter right above the cord. I don't want to push the cord down because then it's going to create instability in the fan because it's going to be touching the ground. And so to cover this gap here, just going to use a little extra tape. Okay, so the bottom, now that the bottom is lined up, if the top isn't lined up, it doesn't really matter. The bottom is going to be what keeps your fan stable or not. Okay, and we'll just make sure left and right look pretty good. I'm going to apply just a little bit of tape in a few areas just to hold it down, and then I'm going to just do the big tape real quick. This is just so it doesn't shift while I'm working. I overdo it with tape, let's be clear, but I said this is $4. I bought like a 6-pack at Costco. So when you break it down, it's a lot cheaper. Okay, it's stable. Now let's do some 20-inch pieces. I mean, there's really kind of no downside for overdoing the tape. As long as, and why I like the clear tape is as long as you can see what you're doing. Because if you go too crazy on the tape, then you're not going to do it. Oh, hey, here's a question. Why don't I use duct tape? Well, this is why, the clear tape. If I was using duct tape, I might not be able to see some of the mistakes that I've made. So I'm going to go. So this is kind of a corner. Just kind of mentioning how this is tricky. So I'm getting it up to the corner, all nice and sealed, and then boop. Okay, see how not amazing that is? No problem. Now it's amazing. So yeah, I mean, just double check all your seams. You're really only gonna have a problem with the corner. So this side that I just did all in one, that is what it is, right? There's no additional holes to worry about. I'm over the seam between the fan. Here's another corner. Sometimes the corners are easier if you're actually only trying to do one side at a time. So the reality is that's probably sealed, but when I come this way for this strip, I'm gonna go over it again. And I'll just keep shifting the fan around. See, look at this. So we're going over that area that probably is sealed fine, overboard on the tape, and then just do a straight line. Okay, now onto the bottom. The bottom's the trickiest. Why is the bottom the trickiest? You have your feet that you don't want to mess up. You have your cord that you want to make sure is sealed around, but you know, not taped over. You want to be able to move it. If I tape the cord this way, that might not create a good seal. So I'm just going to show you briefly one little trick. Piece of tape, any length, but manageable, and get it right in between the cord and the filter. And it's a lot easier when it's not already all pre-taped and junky like this. But we're just going to get it right in there. Okay, so that's the one spot. That's the one spot you really just want to make sure you get. And now it's about just getting that corner, getting all of the holes covered up, right? Some of the holes are down here. You have to put a little piece of tape on it just by itself, but some of them are right next to the seal, so you can tape that while you're taping the rest. I'm gonna turn it this way so I can get just a better look at it. Now, something I've learned from the last time, if you notice, I did end up taping over the feet. If it's not perfectly flat, the fan is gonna rattle, and it's probably going to drive you nuts. So I'm just gonna cut a little bit of slit right under the feet, and I'm gonna push the tape over it. So I'm making sure that it's still very sealed, and you know, if you're not sure, add a little more tape. and I'll actually show you that in a second here. I just cut the tape here, cut it there, and slid it down. And if you're not sure about the seal, feel free to add a little extra tape. Okay, so final check, right? I mean, this project only takes a few minutes, so you might as well just double check all the corners. And sometimes when you're laying out a big strip, you might just kind of start in the wrong place and not quite get it right. And there's no reason not to double check, right? So this is a little bumpy here. So I'm just gonna press this down and really make sure I feel good about that seal. Yeah, oh yeah, that's good. Okay, you won't be able to see this on camera, but there is an overlap of the tape here that isn't a hole, but it's not the kind of strongest. If I was betting on whether this is going to leak or not, I would say no way. But this is a penny's worth of tape. And so it goes from very unlikely to nearly impossible in 1 penny. Okay, and that's it. That's all the way around. So set it up. The cord can move around and it's not going to fall over. It's left and right is stable. Front and back is, as stable as a thin little fan is going to get. For $35, right, combined-ish, it is really kind of amazing that this is not standard in every household, especially in California. And I know other states have fires too. I just happen to live in California. So if you're around smoke, if you're around fires, when you read into these filter ratings, there are levels of filtration that also handle volatile chemicals. Not this one. There's ones that handle smells. There's, pet dander, things like that. For me, the MERV rating 13 seems to be perfect. So, big fan of this project. It's a 10-minute project. It takes longer to explain it, right, on camera than to actually just do it. This is a 10-minute project. It's $35, and then every 2 to 6 months, a $15 replacement. And I will link the filter buy filters. I got them because you can get a 4-pack of them, and it saves money. So one for my house and one for each of the 3 fans. So that's it. Thanks. If you have questions about the box fan situation, let me know. Leave in the comments. Thanks a lot.
Wait. Video not over yet. While going online to get the links to put in the description, I found this. Look at that. This is exactly the exact product that I've been trying to replicate. It's made by the same people that made the fan. So here's an option. Here's camel for the price history. Looks like this product has existed since about October 2020, which is kind of roughly around the time I originally made this. So that's kind of interesting. One thing I will say is if you kind of look down here at the bottom, you kind of look down here at the bottom, you'll see that it comes with a MERV 10, which I think is kind of weirdly low. So you're going to spend around $55 to $71 depending on if it's available. And you're going to have to replace the filter anyways. I don't think a MERV 10 would look well. I can't really speak to how it seals. If we kind of zoom in, it's not really a gasket type situation, but it does look like might be using air pressure to keep the filter in place. I will say this has to be easier. So that's an option too. But at least you know about it, and at least it's getting popular and people are talking about it. Actual goodbye now. Thanks a lot.